Welcome to Gun Cleaning 101. So we're going to be cleaning my Glock 19 today. As you guys can see, it's got the Hollison and it is quite dirty. Look at all the fluff and stuff, right? So we'll give it a good clean. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is we got to make sure the gun is safe. Yep, gun is safe. How do you take down a gun? It's very simple. You're going to pull back ever so lightly on the slide, just slightly, and you're going to pop each one of these pins. There's two on either side, one on this side, one on this side. You pull them down and you release the slide and it will pop forward. Okay, now that slide is off. So we're going to remove the recoil spring by simply picking it up. The barrel just slides up and out. There's the barrel. And we'll put the frame aside. We need a Glock tool like this. And we're going to remove all the internals out of the slide. So how do we do that? We're going to pull the firing pin back, and there's a little plastic grommets underneath here. I don't know if you guys can see it underneath, right? And what we do is we simply push that down, and as we push that down, we're going to slide the back plate down and out. If I can get it to go down and out, there we go, without losing all the springs, right? Okay, now we take out a firing pin, we take out our little plunger. We'll press that, and then this plunger comes out. Right, okay, so there's our extractor claw. Everything is now done off of this. Yes, I can remove the red dot sight if I wanted to, but I'm not going to, because if I remove it, I have to check it's on 0 again. So I'm not going to do that. But what we'll do is we'll just clean around and we'll make sure it's all nice and shiny new. Right, so that's the slide finished. To take apart the frame, how do we do it? We need our Glock tool again. We're going to push out on this pin here. That takes out, one pin. We take out the top. Now this is a Gen 3 Glock. So push out the top pin, and then we take out the bottom pin. How do you take it out? Sometimes it gives you a little bit of sticky. What I find is if you move your slide lock ever so slightly, you can get it to pop. There we go. And now it pops. Right, we take out our slide lock. Using our Glock tool again, we're going to lift up this block, take it out, and then the whole trigger assembly pops out together. Right, and we can detach that from our housing with our ejector, our connector. Right, and that is basically a full strip. So you can see the gun is now stripped completely, except for I didn't take out the slide and I didn't take out the locking pin there. So the slide, not the slide, I didn't take out the magazine release, sorry guys. Okay, not very good at these cleaning videos, still learning, right? Okay, so what I like to use is I like to use some Trisol. Very simply, take some Trisol and spray it all over everything. Just get it all soaked up in some Trisol. Okay. Yep. Down the barrel, same. Spray the outside of the barrel, get it lubed up. All our parts, we simply just spray them so we can get them all full of Trisol that will help us clean it. Same inside the frame, we spray it up and we make sure. Right, okay, now comes the fun part. We're going to use our little brush and we're going to just scrub everything down. Okay, so I'll put the frame aside. We'll start with the slide. We're going to just simply scrub it all the way through, down the rails, you know. Just scrub, scrub, scrub. Especially here where the case sits. It gets very dirty. Here where the ejector claw sits. I'm going to scrub that all. Okay. Just scrub it up, the whole thing. Then what I like to do is take a patch, just little flannel patches, and I like to just wipe all of the excess rubbish gunk off now, and we'll just make sure everything is nice and shiny new. If you can't get into some tight corners, you know, the little Glock tool is really quite helpful to get around everything. Just want to get a little brass brush and just get us a nice little scrub, making sure we're getting everything out. On the side of the frame, same thing. We're just going to scrub all these serrations. That's going to make sure we don't have any gunk on there. Don't worry about the red dot, we'll clean that at the end when we make sure everything is done. We'll just clean out the oil, whatever oil's gone into the red dot. Okay, right. I mean, obviously, the more time you take with it, the better it gets, or the cleaner it gets. But, you know, for the sake of the video, I don't want you to be here for 17 hours, right? All right, okay, so there we go. That's one down. Now, next thing we're going to jump onto is our barrel. So, using a cleaning rod and a brush, we're going to scrub the barrel, making sure it's nice and clean. Take your little brush, clean here by the chamber side on the feed ramp, making sure there's no buildup of any carbon or stuff like that. And yeah. Alright, same thing again. We're going to take our cleaning rod this time and our flannel patch. If I can get one, there we go. And we're going to push it through the barrel. Okay, you can use a jag like this one, but if you don't need to on a 9mm. Basically just a cleaning rod, pop it through. You can see how dirty the barrel was. So we need to do it a couple of times, make sure the barrel is properly clean. So I like to use a clean patch every time I do it. It just makes sure that, you know, at the end of the day, it is crystal clean inside there. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see down the barrel there. And you see how clean and beautiful it looks, right? Like glass inside there. Okay, that's what we want. And then with the flannel patches, we just wipe the excess of oil off the outside. You know, make sure there's no carbon build-up, no cracks. Not that they should crack, but you know, all the guns tend to crack, you know, with a lot of pressure. Alright, and that's it. So that's the barrel done. Okay, recoil springs, you know, a lot of guys, I don't know what they do, but I simply just like to run my patch just through it, making sure, you know, doesn't have anything obstructing the spring from moving, and you just get out whatever gunk is inside there in between. Generally after 5 years or so I replace these anyway, so not the end of the world. But as you can see, all I'm doing is I'm just running the patch through the spring, making sure there's no gunk or rubbish obstructing the spring in any way. As you can see, nice and dirty, right? Okay, so there we go. There's a spring done. Okay, now your odds and sods, all the little pieces, we're going to just simply take a little brush to them, clean them up, make sure they're nice and shiny, no carbon build up on anything, and we wipe them down with a patch. Okay. Just want to make sure all of them are just clean, no carbon, and none of them are damaged, right? Now I know I can take this gun apart real quick, and some of you can and some of you can't, but you can just slow down the video and see what I do step by step. Right. Okay. Back plate, I just give it a wipe over because, you know, normally fluff from your stomach or from your clothes gets stuck in the back plate there. Right, okay, so your firing pin, same thing. We just want to inspect the firing pin. It's nice and neat. It's not broken. And if it's got any carbon buildup, like we've got a little bit here, what we do is we just simply clean it off. Okay, make sure it's nice and clean. There's no problems. Grab a brush if you need to brush it. And just make sure. Okay, you can strip the firing pin down more if you want to, but I don't find it necessary. You know, as long as it looks kind of clean and it's not, doesn't have any carbon buildup, you're generally okay. All right, our little rod here. Okay, just give it a wipe down. Now don't panic if this comes apart. They sometimes do. Don't panic, just simply push it back on, okay? But this is one of the things that we change in the spring kits. So we change a lot of little springs when we're doing spring clean or a spring change on the guns, right? And I only do mine every 5 years. So every 5 years I change out the springs on the gun and I put new ones in. Okay, slide block, same thing, just rub it down, make sure, no carbon. Believe it or not, these are actually black when you get them, but obviously mine is just worn over time, right? And a lot of guys ask me, you know, why did I coat my slide silver? Or where did I get it done? The only reason why I got it done was because I started getting pitting from carrying. So if you look there, you can see the pitting marks from where it started to rust. That's why I had my guns coated in this silver, the satin silver. I didn't plate it actually. Okay, right. Pins, again, just give it a wipe down. Nothing too serious. Just making sure everything's nice and clean. Okay, let's get a new patch because now we're killing that one. Okay, so I go through quite a bit of patches when I do these things. Right, our trigger bar. Right, again, I like to just make sure that there's no carbon buildup on it, no little brass filings, which sometimes happen. And as you saw, my gun was very dirty when I started. It's been a while. Okay, right. Our big block. Again, same thing. Now, I'm probably not calling it by the exact names as Glock would prefer, but you know, whatever gets the job done, eh? At the end of the day. Okay. Sorry for the guys outside making noise. Okay. So, here we go. I'm going to just give us a little bit of a clean. Making sure all nice and neat and tidy. Okay. Right. There we go. That part is done. Obviously, you're going to get my fingerprints all over the place. All right, in the frame we go. So again, take my brush, make sure it is just clean throughout. And actually, Glocks are dishwasher safe, eh? And if you want to put your Glock in the dishwasher, you can. Not complete, not with the steel pieces inside, but you can strip all the steel pieces out and then you can send it into the dishwasher. And don't do it with your feed plates, your boss won't be happy with you. Greaser. Okay. And again we wipe out. Obviously, I just go through the frame. I just make sure we don't have any dust or, you know, gunky stuff sitting in any of the little nooks and crannies. Yes, I could take off my lights, but I don't want to because there's no need to take it off. I'm just busy rubbing down the frame, making sure everything is nice and clean. So I'm busy rattling my. Okay. Like I said, if you get some tight places, I use a little Glock tool. If you guys have a small screwdriver or a small punch, it will work as well. Okay. If you got a little tool like this one, this also works. Okay. As you can actually see, mine is broken off a few times. I had these little hooks done. But it's just to help me get down into the deep crevices, just to scratch off if I need to scratch off something. Okay, but there we go. Pretty much done. Right, okay, so now we start with the reassembly of this bad girl. So let's start off with the frame side. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our trigger assembly back together. It is important that when you are doing this, especially on the Gen 3s, we have a spring. On the Gen 4s, they don't have a spring anymore. That simply clips into a little plate. So this one, how we do it is we put the spring through the gap on the Gen 3s into the hole. And when you roll it over, it must sit in this little groove here. If it doesn't sit in the groove, the spring is not in the correct place, and then you will have, well, you can have problems. So the Glock say you need to look down this hole, into that hole, and see the spring in the perfect position. It mustn't be twisted off to the side, it must be straight on the groove. Can you guys see it? No, too dark. Let's see. Can you guys see it now? There we go. Alright, so there we go. You can see how the spring is perfectly in its place, right? So that is important for the Gen 3 Glocks. Right. Now, a lot of guys ask me, what do I change inside my Glocks? The only thing I change is I change this connector. This 2 kg connector here, I change it from the original 3.5 to a 2 kg connector. Okay, now we put that down. Trigger assembly goes straight down. We put it in our block, slide it down, there it goes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start adding our pins. So we can start with the top pin. We simply push that through and that goes into its place. Using our Glock tool again, we're going to simply push it till it sits flush on both sides. It must be flush. So a little bit more. See, it's perfect, balanced on either side. Right, okay, now what we do is we're going to take our rear one, again, same thing, put it in. Now my gun is a lot easier to work on because it's already been used a lot. So it knows where all the parts go quite easily. Okay, now we're going to install our slide lock, okay? And we go and put it on the side here. You see there's a little cutout for it, and we push it forward. Okay, and then we make sure that it lines up in this hole. Can you see light through there? Yep, there we go. So you can see light through there. That means it's perfectly lined up, and then I can insert my pin. And you see how quickly it snaps into place? Perfect, not going anywhere. Okay, it is very important to make sure that this spring here, the one from the slide lock, is underneath this bar. If it's above this bar, that's when we get quite a bad malfunction. So it must be underneath the bar. It keeps the slide lock in a down position. If you put it above the bar, it will hold the slide lock up. And so every time after you shoot, your gun will lock back to the rear. That's why it's so important. Make sure that it's always underneath. Okay, good. Right, so that's pretty much the frame done. Now we jump onto the slide again. Okay, so slide, we start again from the beginning. So first part to go in is our plunger, actually. This little plunger goes into place. We put it into its position. Now on the Gen 5s, it's a little square plunger and it only fits in one way. Gen 3s have this round plunger. It's very easy to do. Then we take our extractor claw and we put it in and we lift the plunger. That holds it in place. Okay, now we'll put in our little rod, goes through. We put in our firing pin assembly, making sure it goes nice and neat inside. Now, you're going to put your back plate in, you're going to hold pressure with your thumb, and you're going to push down each one of these little parts using your Glock tool. So you push it down, and as you push down, you put pressure with your, it's a bit hard to do it while I'm watching, while I've got the thing forward like that. There we go. And then I put down the plunger and close it up, and it will click into place. Okay, now that is pretty much assembled. So now what we can do is we can insert our barrel back into the slide and our recoil spring. Right, now time for oiling. Okay, so I simply like to put oil on these 5 places. I put a drop here, I put a drop here on those guides, right, on the slide guides, and you can see it's simply just a drop, and then I put a drop just on top of that, and that is because that's where our firing pin slides over. Okay, and that's it. We put the slide back together and we push it all the way to the rear and rack it. Now we can just test fire. Okay, now we're not quite done yet. We sprayed a lot of oil on the gun earlier, so now we need to clean our red dot screen. So how do I do that? I use just a clean patch, and I need to clean the screen this side, make sure there's no oil, and then I'm going to put it on the other side, and I'm going to shove my tool down into the position, and I'm going to try and clean out as much carbon I can. Now this is a rubber little tool, so it's not going to scratch the glass, and with the patch I'm just trying to get out any fluff or gunk out of there. Now after this you can take your lens cleaner and you can clean it after that with a lens cleaner, and that should help you get rid of any rubbish that is inside there. Okay, good, and that is it. That is a new oiled block. You can run another cloth over it just to make sure, you know, but we should have a thin film of oil along our gun that will stop any rust. So don't wipe it all off completely. Oiled gun is a happy gun. Right, okay. Hope that helps, guys. Okay, as always, if you guys like our videos, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Okay, and we'll see you guys again soon on the next one. Ciao for now.